morning, class. Welcome to Homeroom with Unk and Market Monk. Morning, P. How's your week?
Really good. Just caught Target on the downside, and building some positions here and there. A lot of solar, crypto, um, done pretty well on that as well. So yeah, just kind of sticking to things. Looking to Q1, Q2. That's kind of what's going on in flow. So year's definitely winding down. We can talk about what that means.
Nice. Yeah. It's no big win for everybody.
Yeah,
I don't want to say a big win as opposed to like, I took 13K to 17K. That's not what happened. But just a big win when you have a system, things line up. Even a $40 to $400 can be a big win. So just a big win in our process and the way the system works. Hard for me to get a lot of shares in those, but I did the old 10 trick, and for me, I don't want to say playing around, but it's easier to stay in. I guess that's the best way. But
yeah,
overall, staying on the winners. I messaged you, I think, yesterday, day before, kind of about that in general, just that topic. But Piton, man, that's still paying. Um, and in general, man, Square's at like 92. SoFi's at
yeah,
15. SoFi's at 15. How do you think my household's doing?
yeah, yeah.
I mean, we'll just start there. So yeah, good week overall, P.
Well, yeah, I mean, so fintech, I mean, like hindsight as a sector was just phenomenal, and I think we were on names individually. Like I don't think I had a whole big sector review on fintech, but it was like yes, Square. Square I was looking at as kind of a crypto stock. I think that's still a little. I don't think that's even priced in how much Bitcoin they have and sort of the crypto service thing. People are still on miners, and uh, I won't even get too far into that thesis for free, but that's something we've been on for a long time. But then I look at something like Dave, the way that went nuts. Lemonade, insurance, but it has fintech qualities to it that is kind of this, sector disruptor or whatever. They got the app and all that stuff. So,
You know what really
but
made
yeah,
me like lemonade?
what's that?
Root.
Oh yeah, 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 right.
I'm not even playing. That's really what made me like lemonade, and yeah, that's another one. That's another one that fits in the piton category, man. Just stay on your winners, and I caught that maybe a month ago. That hey, you're gonna. I mean, I'm usually a tighter stop loss guy, but
Yeah,
in this market, if you get a good entry, you need to give yourself some room because we're in a serious bull market. I mean, we have been for a while. Um, if you didn't hit the A+ names, now we're in the B stuff that we talk about. But you still, I mean, you have to take the lessons from the A names. How many people are sitting here? Maybe, probably even including myself a little bit, even though I tried not to have that mentality. But I still Nvidia at like 760, so $76, right? Like that's not
yeah,
coming back. I really didn't get my. We had that one dip to 92, but I mean, you're gonna have that kind of run again in smaller names. Maybe not that long. Maybe not a 2 year run, but we're gonna have a 2 3/4 run in these smaller names that we've all like. Piton's a great example. I already said that name. Like that's probably gonna continue that trend. It's gonna have some $3 downs and $6 ups along the way, but that's just what you're
yeah.
gonna get. That's just what you're gonna get, and
Well,
we're,
yeah.
we're
I
seeing
mean,
that rotation.
with Piton, it's like the flow that got me into it was not really $8.
No,
It's 12.
that was
It's
mine.
14.
I was the eight
Um,
bucks.
yeah, right. And and then flow that got me into lemonade always was 50 or 55. It was
Yeah.
just that when it got when it hits 30 or hits 28 or 26 or whatever, given where we enter, like yes, you do sell some. It pulled back a few times, but I mean this move was always in there, and so then it's about keeping some, and that comes with experience. I mean, hey, first round with coin, I didn't keep I didn't keep it. I mean, I doubled it up, got rid of most of it. I mean, it's just you go 100% on a stock. You're not really thinking of
Oh, yeah.
going 400 or 600% on
No,
it.
no.
So and yeah, and I mean, part of it too, like the the time that if you just go into it with that mentality, I'm just going to buy and hold everything. You can't do that either. I mean, Roku's a good example. Like so, um, but uh,
Well,
but yeah, I mean,
sorry for cutting you off there, but
yeah, yeah,
the elephant in the room here. I mean, I'll just put it out there is most of the traders in general came on somewhere in that 2020 market when we were already in a pretty bullish market since like
yeah,
18, 19. So this is like their real first start of the bull market they've ever seen. Like for me, this is like my third, and not this is my second day trading, but like my third being involved in the market. But these moves take, I mean, they take some serious time historically, and I think
yeah,
and I'm just trying to be upfront with people that, hey, like what we're seeing right now is probably not going to stop for at least a couple. Again, just like when we talked about what's going to turn this market around, well, what's going to turn this market around from this side? It's still the same thing. It's not a price. It's not SPY hitting 600 and we're just done. That's just not how it
yeah,
works.
right.
Um,
No, absolutely.
so yeah, so that these secondary names, I think you're seeing that, and man, are you good at finding stuff when it's like, I mean, I compare Piton to Mara, right? Like
Yeah,
no one wanted to touch that at 380 or whatever it was, and here comes Professor with a this looks good. Um,
yeah,
Lemonade's a little different though, because I mean, I would try to trade that all the time, and you would say, no, I need that 35s. I need those 30s. I need those 30s with it. And
yeah,
son of a bitch, as soon as you got the 50s, it was over.
yeah.
But yeah, more of that, right? Am I wrong on that? More of that. I mean,
No,
I
no, I
just
think so.
I
Yeah,
see so much out there that's like, well, why isn't that? I've asked myself that like 20 times a week. Why is this not getting up yet? I mean, why is this not going yet? And I think Snow fell in that category until last week.
yeah, I did. Yeah, someone in the room remarked on snow and patience, and he was like, I was going to sit here and I was going to buy it at 122 or 132, and I was going to buy or 143 and 132, and I was going to but you guys said just wait. It flattened out for months, um, down under 120.
Yeah, I
Had
got
that pop over
115.
120, and yeah, and then 115, and so I was just kind of like, well, under 120, it's good, and and then just took off, and with that one, like with the earnings. Earnings Casino had a big week, and again, you just size small in there. That's all I can just emphasize, because if what you want is if there's going to be like let's say six in there in a week, and you size them all the same time, you want to be able to just win on two of them and have it carry the whole thing and then some. And you can't do that if you're like oversizing in one or whatever, because options there's so many factors, and then you pretty much you have to get out or have your finger on the button, write it open, with those things, and then you can always just re-enter. But yeah, shares were easy mode. I mean, we had that line above our channel, and it's like, well, I'm not going to sell any shares till it's that,
Well,
because it was just like once it's up there, it's going to happen.
yeah, and for well, yeah, we can continue from here too. I mean, you just got to see what
Yeah,
happens when you get up here. But that's why we have the channels, because if we do get news through them, they're gonna cap up usually. For me, Snow was the run up though. Like again, starting at that 115, just playing it back to the 130 and getting that safe entry.
yeah,
That you got the home run on ER was icing on the cake. That's like a ground rule double. I don't know how.
yeah.
I mean, it's just like it's just you get on base and it's free, and they're like, oh, you get another base. So again, sizing in that not huge, so pretty easy to hang on to something, and probably an A plus of the B minuses.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, absolutely.
An
I don't
A.
know that people know. I don't know that people know what they do.
Oh,
But
sure,
they're on CNBC a lot.
sure.
So I mean, they're a known. They're definitely a known company. Um, Yeah, and on earnings, real quick, with Snow, when they got a new CEO, I felt like they were going to get some softball expectations for the next couple of quarters. So people can go look that up 6 months ago. I was talking about that, and that I think was part of it. But I mean, the fact is that these software companies have really trimmed down, and
Yeah.
just they're just in a position for growth again.
Well,
I think is what I would say.
we're so trimmed down, P. And let's for you flat brain people like me, they fired so many motherfuckers, P, that the only option they
Yeah,
have now is to make them go back to work in the office.
yeah, right.
That's where we're at. Is like they're like no more 3 day work at home because they're not getting the productivity with the lower staff. So like we're getting that workforce back into the office. But yeah, they've cut to the bone on staffing and everything currently. Most of these companies.
Yeah, they have, and I think part of it, the gig economy thesis, and I'm just going to do a teaser on that one, but you know, I don't even think people really know about that yet. But there's a reason that that basket of stocks is doing so well lately, to me, and part of it is what you talked about in the beginning, where this is where the run's going to happen. This is where the rotation, and these stocks have been down a long time. And you look at their chart historically, they're way the hell down from the irrelevant all time highs. I mean, like that though that history was a kind of unique event with COVID and all that. But I think a lot of these stocks, like they have a reason to go up now, a more conventional investor kind of reason. So I do think that they kind of fit into that as well. Target
You
earnings,
said irrelevant. Say that again for me. Irrelevant all time highs.
irrelevant all time
That's
highs.
great.
Yeah, I mean
No, I got you.
because
No, it makes sense.
yeah, I mean okay, so like I'll do one name real quick. So Fiverr, $325. In what sense does that really matter to anything, except maybe the people who bought it up there? It's just it's a fresh chart, and it has so much history built down here now that we can do something with it. And Piton's the same way, and lots of them. But it's why I kind of laugh. So if what you'll see, like if people do this with Piton, if they discover what Fiverr's doing, they're going to call up that chart and say, if you invested $1,000
Mm-hmm.
in Fiverr in February 2021, you would have
Nothing.
$32 or so. Yeah, and they'll just but I mean, who cares? I'm playing percentages down here. I don't have an average over 200 on Fiverr, so
Well, yeah, let's like
you
they
know,
say Tesla's up. Like if you look at the big list of stocks, like all that the 10 and 10 street name stocks and how much
yeah,
they're up. And Nvidia's 100 and a quarter and something like that. But Tesla's like 35%. It's like yeah, but if you trade the fucking chart, you're up 105.
yeah, right, yeah,
So I hate that. I hate when they do that metric. It's just it's a, it's just below the scum of a price target to me. Like
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't care that
right,
you threw out that, it's $135 price target. I mean, show me someone buying an option at $135 and get back to me.
yeah. And
Will you for the flat brain people a little bit and might not
yeah,
give these freebies a little something too. Exactly
yeah.
a little 2 minute. What is the gig economy?
Okay, so gig economy it's basically it's freelance work, which has been around forever. But it's these middleman staffing companies kind of like going into webs and the apps and all that stuff where you want someone to do some web design for you. You don't hire somebody. You have an account with Upwork or Fiverr or whomever, and you find someone on there, or they'll match people with you, and so instead of just having just normal employment. You're going on there and just doing individual little jobs. But the gig economy is also Uber, it's Lyft, it's instead of being it's being a contractor. But the not a not like in
So
the defense contractor
So
sense, but like
sorry. So Square and
yeah,
PayPal fit that because they have the pay services for those small independents. Is that what I'm getting?
exactly.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, okay.
yeah,
I see where
absolutely.
you're going.
Yeah, yeah, and it's I mean, it's really I saw it for years, and you're a broke grad student, you get on a site, edit some essays. Um, even a company like Tutor.com or Chegg, they don't. You're not really, you're contracted with them. You only get paid when you have something to do. So you're not like a they don't have a lot of 9 to 5 people.
Yeah,
And all these companies, their 9 to 5 people are coders and I guess maybe HR people and stuff like that. But the people who do the actual business that make that business run are all gig employees. So that's the gig economy. It's not necessarily the greatest thing in the world for workers, but it definitely saves companies a lot of money. So
but it has
so yeah,
market share. It has market share.
exactly, yeah. And so I think the stocks associated with that are got beaten down with the rest of the adjacent sectors and things. But I see that firing back up as far as a sector.
Yeah, no, that kind of expanded my brain a little bit because I couldn't connect the two exactly. Like, well, how does this one is in there and then that one's in there too? But now it makes sense when
Yeah,
you explain the workforce part of it. Um, so I know there's other people. I know there was other mother out there wanting to ask that question and didn't.
yeah, sure.
No, that's good because like right now, I mean, especially not to get too far off track, but something I want to touch on, especially like this week. Like I'm cleaning things up. I'm definitely going through the big watch list this week because we're gonna have extra time and
Yeah,
just make some
yeah,
adjustments. And I also want to know where to look. So I'm in full belief that there is plenty, more than enough sectors that have fruit to bear out there. We just have to know where to look here in the first quarter and a half of the year, and um, always early is what I like to be. So,
yeah. I was so I was a little like surprised the day like when like Snow opened after earnings, and I didn't even know Spy was selling off pretty heavy at open. And I guess Nvidia flat. Noticed Nvidia was not in my earnings radar, but and you were early on that last time. That it's hard for Nvidia to pop 15-20% from here on any given one event. But
yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
yeah. So Spy
I thought
selling
if we
off.
go anywhere, we were going down a little bit this time, and didn't even get that again.
Yeah, I thought
So,
like flush to under 140 something like that. But yeah, the Spy selling off. And I messaged you. I'm like, I didn't even notice. Like all my stuff's going up. So we're
yeah,
finding that
yeah,
those stocks that really don't care about and I mean I say sell off. I mean what like 0.7% or something. But um, finding the stocks that just aren't attached at the hip to Spy QQQ. That's always been part of what we do as well.
yeah. I don't know where I got a lot of time, and I don't know how people have that much time to manage stuff besides what we've got in the last 2 months. Because that's my problem. I mean, secondary kind of dropped his list, and I was like, yeah, I feel you. Because that's just
Yeah,
how it is, and like I'm a level 2 guy, and that's where I spend my time, and that's I got a lot of charts I gotta keep up on, and I mean, if you haven't, I mean, you've probably noticed, but if anyone that's in our room hasn't noticed, like the last 5 every week for the last month and a half is me checking. Like I'm taking half of that just to check 2 of my positions. Like it's
yeah,
hard work. So, and that's kind of why I've always told people maybe 3 or 4 stay on, and currently you just have that kind of rotation in the market. And I didn't even look at last week, P. Didn't even look at it. And usually I don't look at it much, so that's full context. But I'll catch it
yeah,
Wednesday. I'll catch it when I'm unsure, like what's going on. And I didn't even have time to look at it last week.
yeah. No, I hear you absolutely.
Um, Yeah, so like, this week definitely take your time, and I wouldn't be over trading this week. Treat every day like Friday almost. It's a good way to look at it. Um,
Yeah, and on Black Friday, I really don't mess with that much.
oh, you won't see
I'll
me.
yeah, I'll have a couple things in the morning. I'll have some notes, but yeah, half day, everyone's gone, volume's dead, so not much there.
Yeah, I don't know what you're trying to do there. It's not going to get out of the box, as we call it that day, so to speak.
Yeah,
I mean, if you want to be a little cheeky and try to catch the news, but you still want to be early on that. Yeah, I know you mentioned a little bit of sector stuff. I kind of want to get there, but you mentioned Vegas earlier. You want to talk a little bit about Vegas?
oh yeah. So I was watching. It was kind of after football and just flipping around. I guess there was like a big F1
Yeah, they have fun again.
event in Vegas, and they kind of like shut the strip down and everything. And it just sort of, I mean, it was more interesting. I don't watch racing very much, but it was just sort of interesting to watch how they had that whole setup and just everything that city's got going, and kind of center of the sports world, and everything's gambling centered on ESPN now. I just I just still see a lot there, and I just think the Vegas thesis is going to be a big one. And I always say things like next 3 to 5 years, probably next year when I say that, but it's just yeah, something to really stay on, because I think a lot of the stocks are going to take a leg up and then just not give it back. Um, it's sort of like this sort of new paradigm for a lot of those resorts and casinos and things like that. So I would definitely stay on that sector.
All right, all right. The only thing I like about the F1 in Vegas is that it it might help my dream of them shutting down the actual road that goes down the strip and making it like taxis only long term.
Yeah, right,
Um,
right.
but everything I hear about F1, it's a fucking nightmare for a week because they try to crowd control so much, make you buy a ticket to watch in an area that's
Oh
really
yeah,
really hard to make you buy a ticket to watch. Um,
right, right.
Personally, I love Vegas theme. I'm sure you've noticed that
Yeah,
especially lately. I mean, I usually try to get those in at least once a month. Check on them. I buy them all, um, and the reason I've always liked them is because the market share is really, it's like Coke and Pepsi but tradable.
yeah,
There's not a lot of companies in Vegas. If you go look at the strip and look at ownership of the casino, um, you'll look at it more like a chessboard, because it's literally all the casinos on the MGM side are Caesars, and all the casino on the Caesar side are MGM. um,
right, right.
because those were like the first two, and they try to choke each other out. And I mean, you have the Wynn, and you have Bally's, and you have a couple other names in town, but there's pretty much 2 3 stocks you trade, and they rotate. Usually, good news for once, good news for all. So. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I like them, and again, I'm already buying, so it's good to hear that. I'm normally never early on in the dirt sectors, so it's good that I'm a little early there. I
yeah.
like that. I like that. Um, do you think? How do you think it affects smaller names? Like, let's use our like Portillo's. Let's say, because you asked me that the other day, right?
Yeah, yeah.
What if Portillo's goes to Vegas? Do you see that as a big, like, is that a newsworthy event, getting in that market for certain names?
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, I think so. I mean, especially things that have kind of a little bit of a cult following to them. Going into a new market, and especially if it's Vegas. Yeah, I definitely think so. Um, Absolutely. I mean, I even think I don't know, like Bucky's gas station that goes to Nevada.
Yeah,
That'd be a big thing too.
yeah.
So I mean that is definitely uh, something worth thinking about as well.
It's
Yeah.
almost got more pull than Times Square at this point. It's interesting that that's
Yeah.
kind of come that way, that far.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Um, got to talk about the most probably actively news thing. Holy shit, it's dying. The old BTC down here at 96
Yeah.
currently.
So here's
Man,
one thing I'll say.
you were early on that again.
Yeah, and I think you didn't need it to actually hit $100,000 to trade the 100,000 Bitcoin pieces. You know what I mean? Like, because you got a phenomenal move in that stuff, and then the long MSTR, short CLSK Twitter thing I've been on for like 6 weeks. I mean, that panned out too. That the frustration of people who wanted to trade miners as a Bitcoin proxy when that was the worst Bitcoin proxy you could possibly
Yeah.
choose. I mean, those are highly tradable. However, I don't think people know what the halving really is. In that,
No.
it makes it more expensive to be profitable.
No,
So
I seen a post on Twitter. It showed like the list of halvings, like the dates, because it's happened 4 times I think, and
yeah,
it's got a long list of how many times it's gonna happen again. And he's like, it's already worth 100K, and it's only happened 4 times. Do the math. And I was like,
yeah,
what fucking math am I supposed to do? Because it doesn't work that way, kid.
right,
I
yeah,
don't argue with those guys, but he
yeah,
legit took it as like this is gonna reverse split in some way 15
right,
more
right.
times on a schedule. So therefore it's worth $1 billion was his thing.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, like CLSK was $14 when Bitcoin was, I think, like 60,000 or something like that, and it's near 100,000, and it's still about $14. So you take that, you compare it to what MSTR and Coin have done, kind of clear clear winners there. But yeah, so there's a lot about crypto. I think the assumption that you hear the phrase like altcoin season.
Yeah.
Um, those are all getting obliterated today. I don't, when Bitcoin, the idea that Bitcoin's going to pull back and other crypto stuff is going to take off does not really make sense to me. Or that MSTR selling off, that money is going to rotate into miners. I just don't. I don't think that this sector really
Well,
operates that way.
I'm
So
I,
my thing is, you wait. They're going to set back up, and they'll be tradable again. That's where we're at right now.
you I mean my thing I mean I might correct me if I'm wrong, but if if the halving happens at some point here, I'll pull up the I got it up and man, I'll pull it up over here. If this halving continues to happen, 28, 32, I mean, at what point are miners irrelevant? I mean,
Right.
isn't that what's going to
Yeah.
happen? Am I wrong? Is that not what's going to happen? Like,
No, you're right. The miners that are going to make it are data centers, and they're also or they own a lot of Bitcoin. And that's why, like, I think Hut is one of the reasons I like them, is that they own way more Bitcoin than they get credit for. You know what I mean? Like, so they
sure, 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 sure.
that's but yeah, I mean, just a miner, and like, oh, look, we open up all these new rigs and they're solar powered, and we can mine this much Bitcoin for what that there's no future there. It's baked into the whole what Bitcoin is, that there's no future in mining, and nobody cares about mining any other crypto really. So yeah, I mean, that's why services, I was there on that years ago, and we're starting to see that the stocks that take a leg up, and then keep it.
So isn't
The
run me by this real quick, just because I'm
Yeah,
kind of a problem came up in my head and I need it fixed. So Bitcoin, mining Bitcoin, they use the words and they're fucking liberals. They use words and they mean different things. So we gotta. Halving means you're getting paid half less. So that's what halving really
yeah,
means.
right,
It doesn't mean
right.
nothing with the coin. It means you're getting paid half
They're
less. Eh,
block rewards is what they're
yes.
called. Yeah,
So
yeah,
mining is really transaction approval. Correct? Am I wrong on that? That's what you do.
yeah.
Like you
Verify
verify transactions, right?
on
That's
the blockchain. Yep,
yes.
yep.
So if it becomes to where you ain't getting paid anything or less than nothing, what encourages people to verify those transactions? That's costing them a lot of power, I assume. Right? That's the
Right, right.
so
Um,
that's what. Yeah, is there a
if
problem there, or is that what am I?
the so no, no, because if all right, so if it's always like the cost to do it goes up, right?
Sure,
If Bitcoin stays above that significantly, I think it's in the 80s right
80s
now.
right now. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So we're up here in the 90s, we're fine. But those stocks absolutely implode when that Bitcoin number falls below, that. So if Bitcoin keep moving up 120, 130, whatever, we get to the next halving, we're still above that number. I think those stocks stick around. But
so
once the
if your block reward currently is 3.12 yada yada yada, and it goes down to 1.56, literally half, because that's where the half comes
yeah,
from in 2028, is that going to move it from 80K to 160K cost wise?
something comparable to that. Yeah.
So
It'll be a different exact number, but yeah, it's
yeah,
gonna
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Bitcoin's got to stay up. So I mean, when we get to the end of mining, which is decades from now,
Sure.
you got to be at like a million a coin or something,
Do
some
you
stupid.
believe is that your thesis that Bitcoin is gonna pace that in some regard?
I think that Bitcoin is that the ETFs are going to make it both less volatile and less explosive. It's going to be very hard to double up Bitcoin from here with all the derivatives and everything. Certainly can happen a little bit over kind of a longer time frame. I mean, this run from 16 to 100, um, part of that was such a retrace, right?
Sure.
That we're really breaking into new territory. But to go from 100 to 200, um, that's going to be tricky with it's sort of like they were also happy that BlackRock and all them got into it, but it's going to it's going to trade a little bit more like a commodity going forward, I think,
Okay, yeah, because
because of that.
I was on that math and metric, it should double every 4 years if you go
Yeah,
off of the halving price of it. Okay,
right.
just something to
And
keep an eye on.
and then I just think given its history, I mean, do you think Bitcoin's going to see 75K again ever? I do. I mean, so that gets the clock ticking on that move they need,
The
for the next cycle or whatever. So yeah,
and I don't know exactly how it plays into it, but I just know how it's perceived. But the success of it's Argentina, right? Is it Argentina? It's Argentina.
yeah, yeah,
The success of that guy, I think that is really gonna make it so yeah we don't check back to certain levels ever again because that's a whole nation. There's the last thing I read that guy's up 8.5% GDP.
yeah.
I
I
mean
mean,
that's
I,
ridiculous.
how would some African nations be doing if they
No,
did that? I
that's what
mean,
I'm getting
instead of the
exactly
instead of
exactly.
the wheelbarrow full of Zimbabwe dollars to buy a loaf of bread, I mean, Bitcoin probably is a better solution for countries
Nigeria
like
should
that.
have already a good reservoir of it. They stole enough.
Yeah, and they could integrate that with the Amazon of Nigeria. Get some Bitcoin going into KMIA.
Yeah, that's a crypto stock now. Let's go.
Yeah,
Awesome, awesome. Any boring stuff before we get
yeah, yeah.
into spy?
Yeah. Let me see here. I've got
Keep us
so yeah, natural gas broke through three and held it pretty well. So kind of like what I'm seeing there. I think gold and silver still solid. Silver, I like those charts a little better. I do think that getting some of the combo stocks is a good idea, as far as that goes. And it's a little bit, this we just had this conversation about crypto. Like when you're in a when you're in a miner, I mean, yes, they all move with the sector. if you want to hold some of that stuff longer term, they got to have a little bit more going on than just mining. They have to be, the middleman. They have to have an important position within the gold market. Barrick Gold, POS.
God, did we play
So
that
like
music?
there's
Sorry.
there's a big differentiation than the little $3 miner that has 6 or 7 mines going. So I think some like deep dive into the sector is important. Y'all don't have to do that because I'm doing it, but I do think it's worth looking at what you're going to hold versus what you're going to trade, and it is similar to crypto in that regard. But yeah, I still really like them, and copper's above $4. I don't really have a lot of concerns about it. I think it honestly would be nice to see it break down to
No.
375 to 390 because it's not going to last down there. So that'd be a good opportunity if that happened. But yeah, that $4 area is something I'm looking at there. And oil's fine. $71. Still just consolidating down here. Still a lot of opportunity to scale into those names.
Yeah, I like I think we're gonna fight over some silver charts eventually, but that
Yeah.
7% pullback this month kind of creating a better opportunity. Did we nail Barrick Gold? Like just that
Yeah.
conversation. Let's just wait for it to go to 1650. It'll come back and then I'll just one more week. But yeah, I mean that's where we are in the market, where we are in that sector. Um,
Yeah.
again, I follow you on most of this stuff. Um, I, I don't like doing this, but I'm going to. Um, but I've heard enough people in our room say, "Man, I ain't never heard of none of these stocks." And for the price of entry and admission, we're worth that just on that alone, on the stock
Yeah.
research, on names you ain't never flipping heard of that are probably easier to trade than what Twitter's screaming about. So, all right, that was my useless promotion. Let's hop into SPY. I think commodities LP like I mean not you, but you're gonna have to dissect the political news and understand how it affects those things. Which I'm glad I have you because I don't have to do that.
So yeah, and you got to throw the old playbook out. Um,
You
you know,
think?
like Republican solar bad, lithium EV bad. No, I mean Elon Musk. People hate him. He's a little weird for sure. He's eccentric, kind of like a Howard Hughes sort of character to me. But anyway, like he's in Trump's ear. And
Mm.
the thing is about Trump that he probably doesn't get enough credit for. He does actually listen to people. And
Too much.
he
Too
then,
much.
yeah, right, exactly. So I just think, and it could be off the cuff remarks about solar. We're gonna have the best solar made in America sunlight, and you can see that sector take off because I mean Elon Musk is a big believer in solar, obviously, and I just think you take that, you take weed, like all that stuff. I agree. Like so, yeah, dissecting the news, state of address, state of the union keywords, like all that kind of stuff's going to be important.
My dumbass got a lot of time, so I recently well, I'm in the process, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be on the board for my HOA, and so I'm going to the meetings, and like they're complaining about like the summer party we have and the music being too old. And you look up at the fucking board and they're dinosaurs, right? They're just
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah,
I'm half some of these people's age, and I'm not a young guy. And it's the same thing when you look at Elon and Vivek and all these guys. They're average 20 years younger than the last cabinet so far just on nominations. They're 20 years
yeah,
younger, so you're gonna have some completely different way of thinking. Like it is, it's gonna be a different party. It is, and on the Trump guy, he he's not like he's not a dictator. He's the guy
yeah,
that if he has 6 or 7 people in the room, he's gonna find a way to. This guy makes the best pizza, so we're good. It's the best pizza, and
yeah,
she gets the best flowers. He's gonna just use
yeah,
those people and pump them up to try to have the best situation that he has. So whoever's around him is who he's going to get his ideas from. He doesn't have an idea of his own, and I mean, tell me one thing that's came out of that guy's head that's actually his. It's not.
Right. Yeah.
It's not. He sits down at a table with a group of people that are way smarter than him. He acknowledges that, and he says, "This is how we can make money, or
Yeah.
or save
He
money."
doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't read things.
Fuck
He's
no.
not going to sit there. But he made his
Worse than me.
he got to where he is by he's decisive, right? So
Mm-hmm.
he makes it. He just like reads the room. He makes a decision,
And
and he just goes
stands
forward
on
with
it.
it
And
and
stands on
stands
it.
on it. And
Yeah.
and that's part of why people do like him. So yeah, anyway,
Champions it. Like, and that
yeah,
that's I mean,
exactly.
that's people think he's talking shit. Just how, I mean, it's kind of just who he's like, oh, it's the, it's the greatest, the best one, or the other way. Oh, it is an ugly person, sour person. There's no
Yeah,
middle with Trump. He's not undecided. So
right.
if you can get him to decide on your side, then he's all for you doing the work.
And then just on the stock related aspect of it, I think the sectors that have taken a real beating on the assumption of what things are going to be like,
Yes.
some of those are setting up pretty nicely. I see people putting up lists of 52-week lows, and I don't like all that list. I like some of them. For $40 a month, you too can find out which ones I like. But
when you say "wuh," I'm buying every one of them.
yeah, right.
we buy clicking
Yeah,
CGC on full sending. Inside bar on Spy last week again. Imagine that, son of a bitch.
yeah.
Kind of got didn't get really back to the six, but um, I noticed low volume last week in general, or not low volume, but just not. If it didn't have news, it was kind of price controlled for the most part. Um,
Yeah.
I think we kind of get that again just because of the short week, kind of cheating. But yeah, consolidation still the key with breakouts. That broadening in those B plus names is just what I see overall. Still, we made it through earnings.
So the I do have the Santa rally set up if it happens. I
Yeah,
do have that in
yeah.
here.
There you go.
So I've got 1220, 610C, 615C. I would call those contracts relevant. They're potentially, there's a kind of bait aspect to that, you kind of get those up on the open interest list. People see that and, want to pile into those. They're so far out of the money that they can bite you pretty quick just with theta decay. But whales are positioned in those. They got their finger on the button, buying and selling, moving out of them. So that's your December range, is like approaching that to me, getting between 610 and 615. I think that could happen. And I don't have much on the put side really. There's just so much dead open interest that I think that needs to kind of work itself out. And I think for the downside, you got to kind of lean on TA more than flow, in my opinion.
Yeah, I just think we're stuck in general here for a while. And it's
Yeah.
happened every time we get these, let me get a little more on the weekly, but every time we get these big weekly candles, you get some tighter consolidation for a couple weeks. Um, if anything, we've gotten big downside moves, and I just don't see that this week. Like again, like the they aren't really coming in the office, so for me it's just more another tighter candle. Obviously, 600's the top. Um,
Yeah.
I'm gonna reflect that with my 599 top. I don't think we can get through it. Not without something in the news, and I don't think we get it this week. And then the downside, I think we get a higher low from the weekly format, and the 588.69 is where I'm going. Just kind of picking a spot on the 1 hour that was thicker last week. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, I don't think we get to 585. So I need a higher. I need to find something in that channel, and that's what I would take. So 585 is kind of strong though, P. I mean, I just don't see us. Yeah, so 600 to 585, somewhere in there. This is kind of gonna consolidate maybe for this week and probably into the rate decision, to be honest.
When stocks break a big psych level, um, I mean, in your experience, do they often, like it takes an aggressive move and they kind of overshoot the number
Yeah, 10. That's why
for a
we
bit?
trade 10 all the time because you trade
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you get it to break 10 and you get it at free 20, 30% sometimes. It's weird. 100 is that way. Um, as long as it's not a super big float. 100's usually
Yeah.
pretty good. 50's really good too. I like 50. Probably 10 and 50 are probably my two favorite though.
There's yeah. So there, I'll bring this around to SPY, but there's this phenomenon I notice that in option flow where you get a big psych number like a, say like LLY 800 or something like that, and then
you're getting 820.
it 820.
Yep.
Yeah, it's that 20, right? And so it's like they kind of go to work with their buying and selling options around that 20 level, once they get there.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's a good spot for those kind of hedged option trades, both directions, short expiration put, longer expiration swing. Like, I think they want to take it 30, 40 bucks higher, but they do dip down here. So anyway, the SPY 600 break, the like not the actual tap, the 600 break, I think does take it another $10 or $15 higher, but it probably needs a catalyst. It's sure as hell not going to be this week. But that's something I'm mindful of. And I would be mindful of if you're thinking, oh, I'm just going to short SPY every time it goes to 600. The manner in which it hits 600 matters a lot. If it's just sort of like dancing around up there, yeah, I think you can do a short entry. But when it punches through, I think it might stay up there for a while. So, something to think about. My
It's
my
hard. It's
number.
hard to short SPY because your pullbacks are in the pre-market.
Yeah. Oh, right. I don't know. Yeah. So you're either, if you catch it overnight, and even then, it's disheartening if you're trying to do it because the best, that pre-market low, it's going to bounce off that. So whatever you thought you were going to get, you're just going to watch it bleed out for the next hour and a half, and then it opens, and then you got to sell because it's probably just going to move back up. So yeah,
Well, and
I'm with you on that.
you gotta be real strong with I'm shorting SPY because it ran too hot today. You can't short SPY because it looked like it was weak today. That's a set. Don't do that.
Yeah, no, right.
Yeah, you
I
have
mean,
to have
it's
the running hot, and yet so I mean that you have to know the chart. I mean, yeah. Sorry.
yeah. I mean, well, you just got to know what it is. S&P is built to trim losers and pile into winners. I mean, that's how that whole thing's set up. It's
Six
not
percent
like,
a year, sir. 6% a year.
yeah, yeah. So my numbers, I got 589.85. So I think we're pretty close there.
Yeah, we are real close there.
And 598.98.
So you're tighter than me on both
Yeah,
sides by like a
same
buck.
idea, I think.
By like
But
a
yeah,
buck. Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, and I think the just Nolan this week, having traded through it a few times, you know how Thanksgiving is. It's usually
the only I remember a Black Friday maybe 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago.
2020.
No, I think
That
three.
don't count.
Yeah, right. We're like, yeah, the market just got obliterated. And the funny thing about that day, like I had a sector note that day. I'm like, I like Adobe calls early, and it did. It went up like 2-3%. And then I look at the whole market. I'm just like, holy shit! I felt like, oh, I got lucky there. But over time, I realized it's just sort of the flow was there. So you get those moves against trend sometimes. But
Friday's
yeah,
a good day to not look at any chart shorter than a 1 hour chart.
yeah,
Good day for
yeah.
that, because then you'll see the bigger picture, and yeah, it's a good maybe push that a little bit, larger time frame for this Friday only, and it'll change your
Yeah,
opinion because like, man, this is running. You're like, oh well, it's just making up what it did Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Right. Yeah. No. I think there's some good options scalp looks Friday, and that'll be kind of my focus. But you don't want to get to the last couple hours. Like you better just do it with your breakfast and then enjoy your day and watch some college football or something. So,
Perfect, perfect.
yeah.
Awesome. You ready to get to work, Pete?
Yeah. Let's do it.
Perfect. Like and subscribe. Link somewhere, people.